Ever feel like you're just swimming in information, but can't quite grab the insights you actually need?
Oh, absolutely. It's like the answer's right there, but hidden.
Exactly. And often, the problem isn't the amount of info, it's the questions we're asking, or maybe not asking,
Hmm.
especially for businesses trying to get a handle on their customers.
You've hit the nail on the head. Being truly well informed, it really starts with asking the right things. So today we're doing a deep dive into, well, the art and science of crafting really effective market research questions.
Yeah, it's not just about collecting dots on a graph, is it?
Not at all. It's about finding those pivotal insights, the ones that actually drive smart decisions and, real action.
Okay. And we've got a guide for this journey. It's called Finding the Right Questions for Market Research, a guide to gathering actionable insights. It's by Kalyani Raj, just out from Cognitive Market Research.
Right. Think of it as our key, sort of to unlocking how different kinds of questions get you different kinds of valuable info about your audience.
So our mission today, we want to equip you with that understanding. By the end, you should really get how carefully shaping your questions, whether for market research or just, figuring things out day to day, helps you make much sharper choices.
Definitely. It's a skill that honestly goes way beyond just business strategy.
Okay, let's really dig in then. Why are the right questions just so critical? The guide really hammers this point.
Well, the core idea is simple, really. The quality of your insights, it directly mirrors the quality of the questions you ask. Good questions are like an engine. They drive informed decisions, better customer experience.
I'll give you that competitive edge, yeah.
Precisely. It's that classic garbage in, garbage out scenario, but for insights.
Right, so vague questions just muddy the waters.
Exactly. Or irrelevant ones. They block your view, really. You end up with data that's inconclusive, or maybe even worse, points you in completely the wrong direction.
Which means missed opportunities, probably strategies that just fall flat.
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of asking something broad like, do people like our stuff?
You need to get way more specific.
Way more specific. When you asked questions that really zero in on customer behavior, their preferences, their actual needs, that's when the gold is.
The valuable insights.
Mm-hmm. Those insights become the foundation for, say, improving your products or building stronger relationships. The guide makes it clear. Tons of data means nothing without the right questions pulling out the meaning.
And I saw that Fast Fact 2, SurveyMonkey having over 1,600 pre-made questions. That's, wow.
It tells you something, doesn't it? It shows this is a real discipline. It takes thought.
Definitely.
Now, the guide breaks down market research questions into a few key types. Understanding these categories is super helpful.
Okay, let's walk through them. First up, demographic questions. What are these about?
Demographics are basically the who, the background info. Think age, gender, where they live, income level, job, that kind of thing.
So the basic building blocks of a customer profile.
Exactly. It helps you define the essential characteristics of the group you're trying to reach. The guide uses a good example. Say your research shows a lot of your audience is like 25 to 35 years old.
Okay.
Well, that tells you maybe you should tailor your digital marketing towards platforms and styles that resonate with that tech-savvy group.
Makes sense. A clear starting point.
Yeah.
What about behavioral questions? Sounds like what people do.
That's it, exactly. Behavioral questions dig into customer habits and actions. How often do they buy? What pages do they browse on your site? How are they actually using your product?
Right. The how and when.
Precisely. It helps you understand the patterns, like purchase frequency, knowing that isn't just a number. If you see a peak every 3 months,
You could time a promotion just before that.
you got it. You anticipate the need. It reveals motivations, patterns, maybe even spots where the product isn't quite hitting the mark.
And understanding those actions helps figure out the why behind them, presumably.
Absolutely. You get concrete insight, you start seeing patterns, you spot areas to improve the whole experience.
That example of the subscription service using purchase data for billing and promos, that makes perfect sense. Aligning with actual behavior to boost retention.
Right. Then, moving deeper, we get to psychographic questions.
Okay, psychographic, that sounds more internal.
It is. It's less about just who they are or what they do, and more about why they do it. Their attitudes, interests, values, lifestyles.
So the emotional drivers, the personal stuff.
Exactly that. These questions try to uncover those deeper layers. What issues do they care about? What are their passions? What principles guide them? This lets you connect on a much more meaningful level. You're tapping into the emotional reasons behind their choices.
So you might find out your customer base really values sustainability.
Precisely. And if they do, you know that emphasizing your own eco-friendly practices could really resonate and build loyalty. It's about understanding the whole person.
That deeper connection seems vital.
Yeah.
Okay, what about questions focused squarely on the product or service itself?
Yeah, product-specific questions. These look directly at how customers perceive your offerings. What do they see as strengths? What are the weaknesses? Do they think it offers good value?
So this is the direct feedback loop on what you're selling.
Exactly. They're crucial for gauging satisfaction and finding specific spots for improvement.
Makes sense.
Like the guide says, if you keep hearing feedback about low satisfaction with, say, one particular feature,
That's a pretty clear signal to fix it or improve the support around it.
you got it. It flags exactly where you need to focus attention.
And then the last category mentioned is open-ended questions, where you just let people talk.
Pretty much, yeah. Open-ended questions give people space. They can share detailed thoughts, opinions, experiences in their own words. No multiple choice boxes.
So you might get unexpected insights this way.
Very often, yes. Things you wouldn't even think to ask about in a structured question. It's fantastic for gathering rich, qualitative data.
Understanding the nuances, the why behind the what's.
Absolutely. You get a much deeper feel for preferences and motivations. The example given is asking for suggestions for new features.
And maybe uncovering needs you hadn't even considered.
Exactly. That kind of feedback can be gold.
Okay, so we've got these different question types, but how do we make sure we're actually asking the right ones for our goals?
Yeah.
The ones that get us the answers we need.
Yeah, that's key. The guide stresses a few best practices. Top of the list, define your research objectives clearly before you write a single question.
Right. Know what you're aiming for first. Seems obvious, but probably easy to skip.
It really is. But if your goal is, say, improving customer retention.
Then your questions need to be about satisfaction, usage, problems they're facing.
Precisely. Those objectives act like a filter. They ensure every question you ask is actually relevant and will give you useful, actionable data, not just noise.
And the wording matters too, right? How you phrase the questions.
Hugely. Simplicity and directness are vital. Use straightforward language. Avoid jargon. Avoid ambiguity.
Because confusion leads to bad answers.
Or inaccurate ones, yeah. If people misunderstand the question, the data you get back is compromised.
And you definitely don't want to lead them towards an answer you want to hear.
Oh, definitely not. Avoiding leading questions is crucial for unbiased feedback. The guide contrasts, how much do you enjoy our fantastic product? Which is clearly biased.
Right, it assumes enjoyment.
With something neutral like, how would you rate your overall satisfaction with our product? That neutral phrasing is key to getting honest opinions.
Okay. And before sending a survey out to thousands, maybe test it first.
Absolutely. Pilot testing is highly recommended. Try it out on a small representative group first.
Why? To catch problems.
Exactly. See if anything's unclear, if the language works, if the flow makes sense. You get feedback from that small group, you refine it, then you roll it out wider. Saves a lot of headaches later.
Makes sense. The guide also mentioned different ways to actually collect the data, right? Not just surveys.
Yeah, it touched on a few key methods. Surveys and questionnaires are great, often cost-effective, especially digital ones. Focus groups allow for more in-depth discussion, getting that qualitative insight. Customer interviews, one-on-one, can get really deep, personalized responses. Then there's observation and social listening, basically, watching how people behave naturally or what they're saying online. Tools like Sprout Social or Brandwatch help with the online part.
Right, seeing what people say unprompted.
Exactly. And finally, competitive analysis, looking at what rivals are doing and where the gaps might be. Each method has its place depending on the objective.
Okay, so let's say we've done all that. We've asked good questions, collected the data. Now we're just sitting on it.
No, definitely not. That's when the really crucial analysis stage kicks in. You can't just collect it. You have to dig through it, look for patterns, trends, connections.
Like recurring themes?
Exactly. The guide mentions looking for things mentioned frequently. Maybe lots of people bring up affordability, for example.
Okay.
And then you need to slice and dice the data, segment it.
How so? By demographics.
Yeah, or by behaviors or those psychographic profiles we talked about. This can show you if different groups have unique needs or preferences.
So you can tailor strategies better.
Precisely. Then you prioritize. Focus on the insights that line up best with your main business goals, like boosting satisfaction or loyalty or market share.
So if durability concerns kept coming up in the feedback,
You don't just note it down. You turn that insight into an action plan. Maybe improve the product materials, maybe offer a better warranty, something concrete.
Got it. The analysis has to lead to action.
That's the whole point, really. Otherwise, it's just data gathering for its own sake.
Now, this whole process, it sounds great, but it probably doesn't always go perfectly smoothly, does it? What kind of challenges pop up?
No, you're right. There are definitely potential bumps. The guide points out a few common ones. Biased responses is a big one.
People answering how they think they should answer.
Yeah, the social desirability bias.
Yeah.
Using neutral questions and guaranteeing anonymity can help reduce that.
Okay. What else?
Low response rates can be a killer. Keeping surveys short, maybe offering a small incentive, can help boost participation.
Makes sense. People are busy.
Mm-hmm. Misinterpretation is another risk, especially with those open-ended questions where answers can be subjective.
So how do you combat that?
Using a mix of question types, open and closed, gives you a more rounded picture, less reliant on interpreting just one type of answer. And maybe the biggest one, remembering that things change. Customer views, the market, it's all dynamic.
You can't just do this once and be done.
Definitely not. You have to revisit your questions regularly. Keep them relevant, keep them timely, make sure they're still getting you the insights you need now.
So it's really a continuous loop, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ask, analyze, act, then refine and ask again.
Exactly. Constant refinement, adapting to what you learn and what's changing out there, staying tuned in.
Okay, so if we boil it all down,
Mm-hmm.
it really feels like the core message is about being super thoughtful, really deliberate about what you need to know. And then being just as careful in crafting the questions that will actually get you those answers accurately.
That sums it up perfectly. That thoughtful, strategic approach to asking questions, it's the bedrock for getting insights you can actually use. And like we said, that principle, it
Yeah.
applies way beyond market research.
Yeah, it really does. It's making me think about just asking questions in everyday life.
How so?
Well, like trying to understand a friend better, or preparing for negotiation, or even just exploring a topic I'm curious about. It seems these same ideas apply.
Absolutely they do. Think about it. Could you use demographic type questions carefully to understand someone's background context? Or behavioral ones to understand their habits?
Or psychographic ones to get at their values when you're trying to connect.
Exactly. Even those product-specific ideas could translate, asking specific questions about a shared experience, for instance. The core skill, asking the right questions, the thoughtful ones. It really is a powerful tool for just deeper understanding. Anywhere.
That's a really interesting way to frame it, the power of just asking better questions.
It's often underestimated. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day, engaging with information, news articles, reports, even conversations, maybe pause and consider. What were the underlying questions that shaped this information?
Trying to see the question behind the answer.
Yeah. Understanding the intent, the frame of the original question can often give you a much richer, more nuanced understanding of the information itself, something to chew on.